Welcome everyone to a casted game of Age of Empires 4, and today spawning on the west side of the map, playing in blue, we've got Valdemar as the Rus. And his opponent today on the east side of the map, playing in red, we've got dragevann as the English. Welcome everyone to Dry Arabia. And well, what promises to be a fascinating game. We already see actually an initial opening with the English with 2 farms. So if you play as the English civilization in Age of Empires 4, take note of this build order. It's very strong at the moment because it allows you to get those early farms, 2 farms, with the extra wood that the English start off with, and it allows a scout to get out and about and do its thing, you know, obviously trying to deny the bounty there because he's up against the Rus, and he should be able to go out and get some sheep quite comfortably and safely without having to worry about food at home. Often, if you don't get those farms, you're going to have to try and get those sheep back at home to make sure you don't run out of food underneath your town centre. It's something that the other civilizations, for example, the Abbasid Dynasty and Delhi Sultanate, also kind of take advantage of and benefit from, because they obviously go onto the berries. I say obviously, but you may not know that. But they often go to the berries to start off the game, and it means that they can focus their scout on getting as many sheep. And look at this, he's actually going to get a couple of them. Oh, he would do really well to go north, but does he spot it? He does, and he's going to get this one as well, most likely. And that leaves Valdemar in a sticky situation. Like, his scout is following his opponents, and has only got 2 sheep. And that just shows you the power of those 2 early farms. And now we also see Valdemar kind of struggling. Doesn't actually have that many sheep at home. That's kind of dangerous. But anyway, he does open up with a hunting cabin, as you'd expect, to get that second scout. And I just wonder whether dragevann has got a second scout. I don't believe he has. No, it's just the 1 scout for now. And, well, we will see both players looking to maybe get to that feudal age relatively soon. And obviously the nice thing for the Rus is that because they get the bounty system by killing the deer and the wolves on the map, they actually don't need to go to gold early on. And it frees up villagers getting food. It should give them a good uptime. We'll spot 2 wolves here. Hopefully he reacts to it and maybe gets that bounty, but he might need to bring the sheep back at home. Has he brought any back home yet? No, he doesn't. He hasn't. He's looking to get there now, though. Oh, he's run out of time. Those villagers are idle there for Valdemar, which is unfortunate, and we talked about how important it is to keep sheep at home. Just didn't quite manage it. He will be transitioning now, though, so the timing is not too terrible, to be fair. He probably made sure he had enough sheep underneath the town centre to make sure he could take it. He still has a sheep there on the hunting cabin, so he's alright. It's not too bad. He's going to be getting that Kremlin to get to the next stage. On a very nice spot, going to be protecting the deer pack and the gold vein there. 2 very important resources in Age of Empires 4, of course. And what do we have here? We've got the Abbey of the King's Landmark. Something that we don't often see for the English, but we're going to see it today. We're going to see the English King, the return of the English King. Going to be battling against Valdemar's Rus today. Well, if that's not a reason to keep watching till the end of the game and to see what happens, I don't know what is. I think it's going to be a fascinating game already. I like the civilization matchup. It's an interesting one. The Rus obviously incredibly strong with a lot of eco upgrades. Well, I'd say eco bonuses, really. The fact that they can get the wooden fortress, which boosts up the drop-off of wood from lumber camps by 20%, which is pretty huge. You factor in the fact that they do get gold passively from the hunting cabins as well. This one generating a good 22 gold per minute. The English, on the other hand, they don't really necessarily have like a passive generation of income like that, but they do have the cheaper farms, and it's just a great source of food in the game. I say they don't have a passive source of income, but they really do in the Imperial Age. This is where things get really crazy for the English with enclosures. They get that gold coming in, and what this does, it allows them to play a very condensed economy, a very compact economy. It's very difficult to raid and kill villagers of the English civilization. Right, well, both players are almost getting to that feudal age now, and I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank you all for your support. You guys have been absolutely fantastic, and you know, every little bit helps. So if you enjoy the casted games, make sure you give the video a thumbs up, and if you haven't already and you enjoy the content, you know, watched a couple of casts already, would like to see more, make sure you subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit that notification bell so that you know whenever I post a video. And a special thank you to all the YouTube channel members going the extra mile to help me keep the casts coming. Now with the Rus getting to that feudal age, it'll be interesting to see if they go for a second town centre play. It's often the commonly done thing for the Rus. They can often afford that second town centre pretty quickly. But so can the English. It does look like it's going to just continue with farms though for now, dragevann. Get that farming transition nice and smooth. And of course he will be getting a king nice and early. So that king will give him a bit of mobility. Might be able to help him harass his opponent. It looks like, in fact, it might be a fast castle here from Valdemar. There's no villagers on stone, and he doesn't have all that many villagers on wood, right? So you're going to need wood for the production buildings. He only has 31 wood in the bank, and With only 2 villagers actually onward, it does look like it's going to be a fast castle. Now this is very interesting because this is something that the Rus often used to do back in the day, a very long time ago. And I think this is a really nice match to showcase because it's showing 2 very alternative strategies from what is considered very common at the moment. That the Rus tend to go to town centres often. Valdemar's not doing that. He's going for a fast castle, it seems. And the English often go for, you know, a longbowman opening with the council hall, and he's not doing that. He's opened up with the mighty king. Now, scouting has happened, so Valdemar should be aware about what's happening here. He'll know that there's no archery ranges, just the Abbey of the Kings so far. Right, well, one thing to think about in matchups like this is the spawn, and the wood situation can be quite critical in this kind of match, because we do see both players kind of going quite greedy in terms of attacking up, and it does mean the game is probably going to be lasting for a while. And that's where wood comes into play, right? So we've got a decent wood line here for red, played by dragevann. But we want to talk about the neutral wood, right? So there's a bit of wood here in the middle, which I think can be very critical. These 2 wood lines might be important, because it's something that's kind of shared between the 2 players. And static defenses-wise, both players do have the opportunity, well, primarily the English with the Berkshire Palace, if it gets that far in the castle, in the Imperial Age rather, can offer a lot of protection of key resources. Also need to consider gold as an issue. They do have an 8,000 gold in the north and 8,000 gold in the south. That could be very, very important to keep control over. And the good thing for Valdemar does have 2 back golds here, which is very nicely protected for his base. And he's obviously mining the one that's on the front there already, so that'll be useful. Also, relics need to be considered. With Valdemar going for that fast castle, the question is, does it go with the high trade house or does it go with the Abbey of the Trinity? Now, I'm actually naturally inclined to say, well, whilst it's not commonly done, the Abbey of the Trinity could be really useful for him, because that will help him get the relics, with the warrior monks getting out on the field very, very fast. I think that could be a good option for Valdemar, and that's exactly what he does. He's going to be rushing it up with 8 villagers as well. He wants to get there quick time. It's going to be the King's Palace for the English, and this gives him a really good timing window here, Valdemar, to pick up relics, because of course the English will have to actually drop a monastery and then get the monks out, but this landmark, the Abbey of the Trinity, acts as a monastery for the Rus, and he'll be able to get those warrior monks out nice and quickly. Oh, the king is riding into trouble, going to the Kremlin. I think he loses it. Unfortunate for the English civilization. They lose their king, but they can anoint another one pretty soon. Question is how soon. Doesn't really have the food for it. But it's going to be getting a second town center. So this is where things kind of switch up a little bit in the dynamics of this matchup. Obviously, Valdemar going to go and prioritize the relics. Stay on one town center for now, most likely. And probably put a bit of presence on the map in the Castle Age. The English, on the other hand, going for a second town centre and for presence on the map. It feels like the English are going to have to try and do a little bit of everything. Maybe get a monastery to try and challenge the relics if he can, but it doesn't really have all that many units. Does have a stable, though, which certainly helps on getting units to try and protect those relics. Trouble is, with the Abbey of the Trinity timing here, I'm sure there's going to be a warrior monk queued up almost instantaneously. There we are. There it is. It is there, queued up, and going to be running around on the map, picking up those relics. But the good thing for the English, he does have that second town centre now, effectively, with the King's Palace, so that economy will start to build up. He does already have a villager lead, surprisingly. Here come the farms. The good thing for the English is that they have a really nice power spike. When the farms really got online, the food income really starts to skyrocket. Mix that with villagers on gold, and it can be a very powerful force. Looks like it's going to be a double stable opening here for the Rus in the Castle Age, getting the blacksmith for those all-important upgrades. And, well, it's going to be cavalry versus cavalry. I love those kind of matchups. Only one stable here for dragevann just yet. Is struggling on wood. Because, of course, I mean, even though the farms are cheaper for the English, it still costs wood. So it's trying it a little bit. It's a bit difficult here for him to manage both in terms of getting production buildings, a monastery, and the farms. They're very wood heavy. It's not usually a problem for the Rus, though, with their bonuses of getting 20% drop-off on the lumber camp. Only 4 villagers on wood needed for the Rus at the moment. He's focusing very heavy on food and gold. Now, it does look like the first warrior monk is going to be out to get that first relic right in the corner of the map, which is a bit cheeky because that should have been Dragavann's, but Dragavann's not taking advantage of it. That location of the relic there. That's going to be belonging to the Rus before too long. As he's going to pick it up, and unfortunately, Dragavann does look like he's kind of monitoring the other relics. He's got the one on the middle kind of looked at, but the warrior monk's movement speed is so fast that he should be able to get out of the way with this, and He's gonna make it out there. 1.22 tiles per second. The king will keep up, but it won't have the damage output he needs. I think Valdemar makes it home safely. Has a knight in the north. Now, where does Valdemar go next? Perhaps for this relic on the north? Does he have a scholar coming out? He does. A monk coming out for the English. Wallow coming back at home just to protect, really, but the warrior monk, you know, he's escaped. Will he lose the king for a second time? He gets out of there with 32 HP, but the knight is chasing. The Rus might get this. He should be able to get out of there. Alright, well, it looks like maybe the English might get one of the relics, but the warrior monk is on the case. And he'll know that. He'll spot that relic being disappearing from the minimap. Valdemar certainly going to charge and try and change that. There's the knight. He's going to snipe him. Oh, that's unfortunate for dragevann. Didn't have any units to protect him. And he will lose that monk and probably that relic, because look at this. The warrior monk going to be chasing just to pick it up as soon as he can. There it is. He's going to make it home. Off he goes. Looking good for Valdemar on the relic side of things. 2 already deposited, 1 coming back home. The good thing for the English is he does have that second town centre, right? But the trouble is, the longer the game goes, you really want those relics. It kind of helps you with the population efficiency. But certainly, I think Dragavann's army might start to scale very nicely, considering his food transition, farming transition, is looking very, very healthy. With those extra villagers, he can mine a lot more gold. There it is. There's the crazy thing at the moment. Valdemar's actually picked up all 5 relics. 2 have been deposited. 3 on the way. That's an insane amount of gold. And don't forget, the Rus actually get free gold coming in from the hunting cabins as well. If Valdemar can start to kind of put down a couple of hunting cabins on the map around the wood, it could be really strong for him. It's not necessarily a priority. I think at this point, Valdemar needs to just produce units. Make sure he survives a push that will be coming very soon. I think the English are not very far off from really massing up a lot of units. It doesn't feel like it just yet, maybe from the visuals, but just trust me. That economy looking very healthy for Dragavann. Let's take a look at that, actually. Look at that. Almost 1,000 food per minute. Taking engagement there outside the gold vein doesn't save that knight, I'm afraid, and the English knight does go down. So does the Rus one. I need to back off. The king leading the charge. Against all odds, I think Dragavann needs to back away from there. I hope he does. He might try and snipe the scout. Doesn't quite manage it. The Rus scout lives to fight another day. 3v4. I mean, it could be a case that Dragavann is just trying to take out critical HP from those units and then back off. And heal up with the Abbey of the Kings. Now, it looks like Spearman transition coming in for Dragavann. Knights. And the Spearman will be a very strong combination against the Rus today. The Knights charge in once again. Does snare them with the Spearman. And that's a really nice pick off by the English. He's going to back away and heal again. On the back of this, we do see double broadaxe coming in as an eco upgrade for the Rus. And also horticulture. And also going for Spearman of his own. Veterancy coming in. Going to be getting further, improving the range of Saints' Blessings by 5 tiles from those warrior monks. Also increasing the damage granted. Also looking to secure sacred sites. This is actually looking great for Valdemar on terms of gold income, but he's lagging behind the village count, so certainly that second town centre will be helping the English. We talked about the food economy. Look at that difference there. 700 food per minute for Valdemar versus the 1,200 food for Dragavann. Takes the engagement. Not a great engagement for the English. Does lose the 2 spearmen and 1 knight, but he does pick away a Rus scout. Was that a warrior monk? It might have been a warrior monk in the end. He backs away. The scout numbers are kind of negligible for both players, apart from, well, Valdemar does have 1. It gives him that vision, which is very, very important. Now, he does have the network of castles bonus fighting in the range of the town centre here for the English. Needs to heal up. Dragavann's behind a military. But this is where it's difficult. Valdemar can't necessarily push in just yet. He needs siege. And this gives Dragavann a critical timing window just to build up army. He doesn't have to rush anything too quickly, but he does need to make sure he pumps out units now. But he's got the economy set up for it, right? Now, we already see, with Valdemar's food income skyrocketing. Where does that come from? He doesn't have farms. It might be on boar or something. It's probably paid by a lot of villagers on food. 16 of them. Takes an engagement on the gold vein. Maybe looking to keep the economy a little bit idle here for the English. He does pick off a couple of spearmen. And overall, a decent fight for Dragavann. Hasn't lost a single villager just yet. Oh, he is going to go to the boar now on the south corner of the map with those 8 villagers. And he's going heavy on stone here, Valdemar. Might be thinking about getting a keep. Maybe a second... I mean, he's not really looking to get a second town center. Doesn't have the wood economy for it. But, I mean, a second town center might not be a bad idea for Valdemar, because when you think about this conceptually, he's got 5 relics. Certainly the English late game is incredibly strong, but he's behind on villages, so he might want to try and catch up a little bit, or at least keep on par. Because he is flagging on that regard, right? But a keep in a central position could be very nice for him. He might need one. Very shortly. Sacred sites have been captured by Valdemar. That's incredible. 5 relics, 3 sacred sites. But the English war machine is just about to come online, getting the blacksmith. Better late than never, I guess. It's been quite a while, 15, 16 minutes on the clock. It hasn't got the blacksmith yet. But the warrior monks and knights coming in for the Rus very soon. A couple of knights to over in on that wood line. They're going to get surrounded, keeps the villagers idle, does get a couple of kills there. And I like what Valdemar's doing. He's actually keeping his army very active, forcing Dragevann to stay at home. Dragevann won't mind that too much. He's got a lot of food coming in, 1,300. We can just see how that food economy scales very nicely. It did have a couple of farms there out in the wilderness a little bit. Does lose a couple of villages for that. He's got to be careful. This could get out of hand here for Valdemar if he keeps getting more kills like this. Dragevann's got to be careful. Does have a few villages on gold. This could be painful. Valdemar, if he spots this. I don't think he has a scout there, unfortunately. So he might not spot that. Dragevann needs to corner this army. He spots it. Let's go straight for it. This is going to be painful for Dragevann. He needs to get out of there. He does have wheelbarrows, so those villagers will be a little bit faster, but a lot of them losing their lives. Valdemar getting huge value on that gold vein and keeping his army active. But back at home, does have 2 knights in his base, but they will be taken care of for sure. Rus well equipped to deal with that. Couple of spearmen, 2 hero spearmen going to get engaged. Right, charging in with the knights, but they're going to go right past through them. He does wall up again with the villager. But good villager kills, good raiding here. We talked about how hard it is to raid against the English, but Valdemar is showing it can be done. The king charging, leading the way with the English knights in pursuit, with the spearmen tailing behind. They just don't have the movement speed they need. There's that food income that we were talking about earlier coming in from the deer camp. This could be a fight that Valdemar decides to take. Has got the blacksmith upgrades. In many ways, I think he wins this fight. Deciding not to take it, though. Maybe leading him home to a trap. We'll have to see. Dragevann pulls away. I would have liked to have seen an engagement there for Valdemar, but he's probably worried about the spearmen coming involved and the micro ability for the English units here. Because he's got the Abbey of the Kings, he can always micro home those weak knights. But again, for the second time or third time, who knows? The sacred timer has been activated. There's that second town centre. For the Rus is a little bit oh, hello. He's going for a third town centre. So he's really going to look to try and narrow the gap of the villages. But this is under risk. Only 7 villages garrison inside. But he's going to lose this town centre. This is a great find here by Dragevann. He moved out his army at the right time. This town centre will go down. Also 7 villagers with it. And 3 knights going to the main base. Keeping the army occupied. But they're not attack moved. They do get a couple of hits on them. But he's going to try and focus on the villagers first. And try and get a good raiding. He does engage now. Spearmen are going to try and catch up if they can. The town centre goes down. The villagers do try and escape, but the knights will chase. Deactivating the sacred site in the south and in the centre. And this is looking a little bit dicey for Valdemar. Lost that second town centre. Losing villages as well. Losing the sacred site in the north. Trying to wall up in an awkward way. Knights diving in on the spearmen. The spearmen will hold their own for now, but they will die. They would look to try and take a couple of Rus knights with them if they can. Here come the cavalry charging in for the English again, but they back off for now. They know that the fight is lost. Decent number of spearmen in the middle of the map. In a good formation, now charging through to join the rest of the English forces for a sustained push. We talked about how the English economy comes online. Look at that food economy. 1,000, almost 2,000 food per minute. It's almost more of the food than he knows what to deal with. And you'll start to see the military start to really get out of control for the English. There are 2 options for the English at this point. Maybe go for the Imperial Age if you can get enough gold. But could just continue with the Castle Age pressure. And I think that's the right thing to do. I think pressure in the Castle Age, just expand that eco advantage you have by getting villager kills if you can. Led by the English king. The charge continues. Valdemar doesn't really have his army there just yet. Just holding back, trying to build up numbers first. And the spearmen are going to be careful not to lose too many of their lives underneath the Kremlin. He's going to peel off the spearmen away from the knights. The knights trying to get value, but quick walls coming out for Valdemar. Doesn't quite manage it in the end. They do squeak past. Gonna go try to harass some villagers at the back. There are villagers in the deer camp. They do get pulled away by Valdemar. Keeps them alive. Nice bit of harassment for the English. And what this does, it gives him the opportunity to continue to build up units. Has another second town centre, so it's a third town centre. Obviously the other one got destroyed. Committed to another one, but the thing is that stone investment in these two town centres, it meant he couldn't get a defensive keep, which is actually kind of painful when you think about it. Archer transition comes in for the Rus. That'll deal well against the spearmen, not so well against the knights, but an army composition is often what you need in Age of Empires 4. And I think this is a big deal. I really think that loss of that town centre in the south has caused all sorts of problems, because it meant he had to invest more stone in a second town centre, a third one really, and he couldn't afford a keep. And a keep right now is exactly probably what Valdemar would have wanted. And we talked about having 5 relics, was about to lose control over 3. Potentially. He backs off with the spearman. I think it's the right call. I don't think the English can take that engagement. He takes engagement on the wood line. That is painful. He lost a lot of knights there. Dragevann wasting some units. Down to 74 military, trying to get as much value as you possibly can. A couple of knights hacking away at that town centre. Won't achieve too much. Ooh, might get a couple of villagers on the berries, but they do lose their lives, I'm afraid. 71 military versus 56. This economy is so strong for the English. He does need a bit more gold coming in, but it's coming in now. He's getting 1,400 gold per minute. I wouldn't be surprised to see Imperial Age coming on the card soon. Dragevann, though, deciding to actually spend all his resources to get Castle Age units. Spamming a lot of spearmen. You've got to be careful though, because the archer number's looking nice here for Valdemar. If Valdemar decides to get a couple of mangonels, it could compound the issue. But he's pulling away all of the Rus army with one knight. One hero knight, he loses his life, I'm afraid. Perishes into the ground. Well, we do see a man-at-arms switch. It's something we commonly see with the English, and I like it. It's such a strong unit for the English with the armor-clad upgrade. It's something that Valdemar's not that well equipped to deal with. Like the spearmen take care of the Rus knights, and the man-at-arms take care of the archers. It's a really nice choice here for Dragevann. He's engaging with a suboptimal fight though. With the king, he's going to try something special. Oh, but that's a good surround by Valdemar. Getting 2 to 3, 4 knights almost there. That was a painful engagement there for Dragevann. Not being patient just yet. He's going to try and lead the line with the spearmen. Try and force his way through. Man-at-arms coming in the back line of that. The knights trying to chase up. This could be a huge fight. The king getting involved himself. Leading on the front lines now. The question is, will the Rus hold on? He's taking the engagement. The knights engaging against the spearmen. That's not where the Rus want to be. The knights do back off for now, but the man-at-arms going to be slashing, hacking and slashing on those archers. Trying to get a couple of crossbows there as well, Valdemar. I'm not sure he has enough. I think the English just push this. He feels confident, it seems. The knight leading the way. The king leading the way. But he might lose his life soon. He needs to be well protected if he can. Healing up units as well that are in combat. A couple of them that haven't fought off just yet. The king does go down for the Rus. That's a big scalp to be taken. But the spearmen just going to try and take as many archers as they possibly can. He's going to go straight full pedal to the metal. I think the spearmen are going to trade really well against the knights, but the knights are doing well to try and dish out as much possible damage as they can. The spearmen trying to get hard. It's quite hard for them to actually engage with all the choke points. But in the end, the Rus will hold. Those archers doing great work for him. Behind all this, where does the English come back from this? He lost a lot of his army. Needs to start to rebuild. Does have a ram working on that Kremlin. A couple of villagers were killed here in the north. A lot of villagers were killed in the north, in fact. Here come the militia for the Rus, trying to save the day. This is not a fight that Dragevann wants, really. I think he just needs to wait for the militia to perish, and they probably will very soon. Oh, there's a knight there for the English, going to harass those villagers and berries. He pulls away with them, but he might lose a few. He's lost a lot so far, 35 of them. That's going to be painful. This engagement here, the militia trying to act as a strong front line, but the English don't mind. They're going to take the engagement. He might just need to wait for the militia to die. They do die, and now this is a good fight for Dragevann, you feel. With the number of highly armoured units, the man-at-arms is going to be the difference makers. The archers there, they look good in numbers, but a lot of them are low HP, and they're not going to face up well against the man-at-arms and the knights. There's not enough of a front line here for Valdemar. Doesn't have the heavily armoured units. He needs to protect those archers. Going to try and kite and micro this as well as he can, but it doesn't feel like it's possible. This could be bad, especially with the mangonel coming on the back line for Dragevann. Valdemar needs to be careful. Mangonel gets a good shot off those archers that were left behind on the front lines. And this is looking bad for Valdemar. Might lose a lot. The man-at-arms tanking so much. And he has to back away into his main base as much as he possibly can. The villagers on the Kremlin, they came out to repair, but a lot of them losing their lives. Down to 81 villagers. The mangonel always threatening. He's going to back off to that mangonel. The safety of the mangonel, it seems now, the English. And just regroup once again. But look at the gold income for dragevann. Looking so solid in that. We talked about the wood lines, these two, and how important it was. Well, it's already coming into effect. A forward siege workshop as a second mangonel, and this is a problem for Valdemar. He's going to need a siege workshop of his own and a couple of springles if he can. Going to try and wall up, which is a nice option. He needs to try and delay things, and I guess the difficulty situation now is he doesn't have a keep, so he's going to need to have other static defenses. He's going to come out with the wooden fortified palisade walls, but 2 mangonels will make short work of that. Militia coming in to defend as well. It's all about stalling things here for Valdemar, I think. But with only 2 town centres... Boy, he's actually got 3 town centres now. Okay, he's got 3 town centres. That was the capital town centre. I wonder when this one came up. How long ago it came up. Either way, he's lost a lot of villagers. Mangonel works on that palisade wall. Now this is an issue that Valdemar needs to address. He needs those siege workshops. He's got to be careful. Where does he go from here? Because he's going to go against man-at-arms. He's going to need to check into crossbows, which he does seem to have done. There's quite a few crossbows there, but he needs a way to deal with mangonels. Mangonels will be great against the crossbows. And the quality of the English man-at-arms means that whilst crossbows do counter them, he should be fine against them. We talked about gold in the early part of the game. This gold in the north, very well protected by Valdemar if he needs to. The gold in the south probably lies in the hands of the English, just with the map control that he's got. There's that third mangonel. Springwood coming out does snipe a mangonel, which is absolutely huge. Gets one for free. And it looks like dragevann almost opting to go to the Imperial Age. Look at the food. Oh, as I say that, he spends more on food. He's pumping units. No, he's recalibrating his economy. He's using the market. Not that he needs to. There's the Berkshire Palace. The question is, where does he place it? He places it between these two wooden areas, the forests. We talked about it, how critical this area is. Well, dragevann spots it. He's going to go for a Berkshire Palace in a strong position. The range of this Berkshire Palace does mean as well that he should be able to pressurize any villagers on this this wood line, and he's going to back away with those villagers for now. The trouble is, there's no way to deny this Berkshire Palace, and the Rus are going to need to rely on more siege. He needs more trebuchets. He needs a trebuchet at least to deal with this. Here they are. The army has to back off under the fire of the Berkshire Palace. And this is a really good staging ground for dragevann because he's also going to have Imperial Age units. Going to have good tech ups. It's getting a network of citadels, which increases the attack speed bonus from plus 20% to plus 40%. It's incredibly strong, and Valdemar's struggling because he's going to be in the castle age for quite some time. He needs Imperial Age units to match up with this, but he might look to just take a fight now. It's a bit of a tricky situation because Valdemar is a little bit behind an economy. Look at the food income, 3,000 food per minute. It's absolutely bonkers. When you factor in that enclosure is going to be coming in soon, I suspect, for the English, that's a lot of farms, guys. That food income looking absolutely insane. There we are. The thing is, Valdemar can't get close with his army. There's no way he engaged this. There's no way he can engage us against the Berkshire Palace. He's going to need siege. And speaking of siege, we see a bombard coming out for the English. That's that dragevann looking strong, but will there be a way back for Valdemar? We'll have to see. He's knocking at the door. Palisade walls won't hold for too long. Mangonels might need to deploy against those crossbows. He backs off for now. The mangonels don't get a clear deployment area. Man-at-arms and knights about to charge in a little bit. We'll see if he manages to get there. He's going to get there, but the crossbow is in that choke point. And that can work in one of two ways. That choke point could be deadly for mangonel shots, but it could be deadly for the English if they go close by. Won't be able to get a wrap around those. I like what Valdemar's doing. Making use of his base as choke points is probably one of the benefits he's got here, fighting at home. Trouble is, the bombard is out for the English. Knights going northwards, trying to get some value. This could be dangerous for Valdemar. He does have a lot of palisade walls, so that will help him keep safe for now. Now there's that Imperial Age for Valdemar. Getting roller shutter triggers. Also getting banded arms. Can increase the range of those springles and the movement speed. The village is going to come out to try and wall up, and the army needs to head in this position to deny those knights riding in. Trouble is, in the meanwhile, he's being bombarded with the bombard. Oh, the knights need to be careful. I don't think he gets through here, not without severe casualties. Dragevann not spotting this. He's losing a lot. He does back off for now. He didn't wait for the elite upgrade either. It's coming in now, though. Well, one solitary knight for the Rus, trying to get some raiding value, but it's going to be tough. He doesn't actually have enclosures just yet. That's a bit of an oversight, I think. Wait, what's going on? Strange there by dragevann. A relatively cheap economy upgrade. He's almost flexing now. Doesn't need it, it seems. He's focusing on the gold in the south, gold in the north. Ah, right, yes. So Valdemar going to opt to get the keep on the north. He needs the gold, right? It's so important. But with elite army tactics coming in from the university, from the English, that's going to make those man-at-arms incredibly strong. And it feels like everything's building up to one final fight. We might just see it very soon. Valdemar's caught up in a village account. That's something that actually really helps him. That third town center really helps him. We talked about how getting multiple town centers to try and keep up to the late game is one option that Valdemar has. The trouble is, now he's up against an English late Imperial age. And whilst he doesn't have it yet, enclosures is coming in, and that's going to help him immensely for that gold income, because eventually the Rus will run out of gold. It does have hunting cabins, but it won't be enough to keep up. It does have 5 relics, but again, I'm still not sure if it will be enough to keep up when you consider how many farms the English have at the moment. It's quite extensive. All of these farms going to be passively generating gold very soon. But what a fascinating game of Age of Empires 4. A very different opening. A Rus fast castle with the English Abbey of Kings. The king is nowhere to be found. Missing from the critical fight. It could be the last fight. We'd love to see the return of the king for the final fight. That might be happening very soon. Both armies preparing. And an outpost, giving a lot of vision in the north. I don't know if dragevann sees this. I dare not switch to his point of view because both players actually chose very awkward colours to play in. With Valdemar, I think, with pink and dragevann with purple. And so I had to switch it to the default colours, but it does mean that I can't change to the point of view on the overlay, I'm afraid. It's just a bit of a spectator bug. It is what it is, but speaking about spectators, well, we're going to spectate this fight. This is going to be a big one. It's going to be a spectacle with the man-at-arms leading the way. It does lose a mangonel to the Springald, but it does look like the bombard going to focus on the Kremlin rather than the Springalds. Man-at-arms decide to head back home. They got a bit afraid there. Does have the network of citadels bonus. The Berkshire Palace getting involved. The Rus army charging in with the spearmen first. The Streltsy. I think he's got a couple of Streltsy there potentially. Yeah, it does have a couple of Streltsy. A strong late game unit for the Rus. Certainly the Rus are no slouches in the late game. Look to try and get the keep there. Oh, that's kind of... I mean, it's a tricky one. Like, it protects the sacred site. Doesn't do much more than that. A lot of the gold has already been mopped up by the English. But Valdemar trying to deny the gold from the English, which is going to be a tough one because of the enclosures upgrade. This is where things become a little bit tricky for the Rus. He does need to push very soon because once he starts to run out of gold, he won't be able to fund any more war efforts. He does have a lot of gold there to be taken, though. So it does have a bit of time. The keep goes up in the south. Villagers get pulled away. It gives them access to stone, though, which is important for Valdemar. More static defenses could be coming up. The Berkshire Palace continues to fire an incredible amount of range on this guy. 15 tiles range, but 3 trebuchets coming out for Valdemar. We talked about the importance of trebuchets, and he's got them. Everything building up, I think. We might see that final fight soon. Here come the man-at-arms charging in, fully upgraded from the English. He might take an engagement here. Quite a few crossbows, quite a few Streltsies there on the back line for Valdemar. He's baiting a little bit. I think the Spearman can act as a really strong meat shield on the front lines. Berkshire Palace going to be whittling down those numbers. He backs off for now. Looks like Valdemar's taking care of the Berkshire Palace. This is a strong pushback for the Rus. And this is an issue for dragevann. He needs to find a way to break these defenses. Valdemar channeling all the aggression in one's choke point. Going the north here with a couple of knights. These are elite knights. They should be able to break through, but the keeps are no jokes in the Imperial Age. But I think he gets through. There could be an overchop. He has to back off for now. Trouble for Valdemar is this gold could become an issue. If dragevann decides to head that way with the man-at-arms, it could be a problem, but it does mean he doesn't have the ability to fight on the front lines, and this is a big push by Valdemar with 3 Springalds, 4 trebuchets, Streltsy, crossbow, and spearmen. Big engagement around the Berkshire Palace. The pathing is going to be a bit difficult because of the foundations, but the Streltsy hiding behind the foundations. This is a problem for dragevann. The king gets involved, but I'm not sure he's going to have enough. The English man-at-arms trying to focus on the Streltsy as much as they can. Getting close and personal. In fact, to be honest, the English might just win this. I'm not entirely sure how, but they are. The crossbow numbers not enough, it feels. They looked good in numbers, but they're not dealing as much damage as they would like. And the man-at-arms lining up to take their swipes of their swords. Horsemen coming in for the English as well. That's a really nice transition. He's going to lose a university on the backline because of those trebuchets. I think Valdemar holds, though. He holds against the elite horsemen. There's not enough. The defensive pressure from the Rus holding for now. Defensive advantage. The reinforcements coming in very nicely. Spearmen just harassing these villages on the south. Valdemar going to lose a few. Engages again in the middle of the map. Schulze holding their lines, but the horsemen will deal well against those. This could be a problem for Valdemar. He needs to be careful not to lose his army. This is the mainstay of his army. The reinforcements coming in from the English. Now it's almost like the English are playing as the home team with the defenses and these stables producing a lot very quickly. Reinforcements coming in thick and fast. Valdemar needs to be careful not to be overrun. The trebuchet is trying to take care of those production buildings, but he's starting to get overrun. Valdemar knows it. He's going to back off now, but has he lost too much? It could be quite possible. Valdemar's military numbers is really tailing down. It's down to 28 versus 47. This could be problematic. I think if Valdemar loses this army, this could be game over. And the knights are coming in. The English economy, look at that. 5,000 food in the bank, 6,000 almost, 1,600 gold in the bank. The economy just looking so much stronger for the English. It is going to push his way through. He might lose a couple of siege units as well if they don't get out of there. Yeah, out comes 2 mangonels. That will help against the infantry, but man-at-arms can still tank against them. A couple of Streltsy tried to gun their way through, but the knights are going to charge in with or without the king. It looks like the English are going to be pressuring hard. Look at the numbers coming out. The military numbers looking scary from the English. 57 to 29. Relatively equal villager numbers, but the enclosures upgrade looking strong. Is Valdemar running out of gold? Quite potentially. No, he's got plenty of gold left. He needs to hold. Going to get a keep where the Berkshire Palace was. And now, all of a sudden, the English are going to need siege. Actually, they might not, because the melee units actually deal pretty well against keeps at the moment. But this does offer a good choke point with the Berkshire Palace in the front, in the way. Streltsy's engaging. The spearmen trying to brace. Man-at-arms are going to try and get their way through. Mangonels firing off a huge mangonel shot on the infantry behind the wood. And this is a great engagement for Valdemar. He does have a couple of knights just hanging on the back line, waiting for their moment, and he's going to push in. Valdemar doesn't have enough. Even the choke point is not going to be enough. Even the keep is not going to be enough. These are elite English knights. He's got to be careful. Might lose the mangonels, might lose the trebuchets, he might lose the keep, he might lose everything. Valdemar starting to be overrun. He's down to 26 military versus 43. He doesn't have the food income he needs to maintain this production, and all of a sudden this strong push from the man-at-arms and the English, the heavily armoured units for the English civilization, forcing their way through. And even through the choke points, the English are breaking through. The front lines have been taken. The Rus are losing their critical siege, and he might just torch this keep down. He might just ignore it, and he might just go to the heart of the Rus base. The Kremlin, the keep, will it be enough? I don't think so. The man-at-arms and the knights heading forward. 57 to 42 military. The trouble is, when the military come out for Valdemar, they're getting sniped. Here come the militia. The one final defense for the Rus civilization. Will it be enough to push him back? He will lose that keep, though. And there's 15 units inside of this. A lot of the army are idled inside the keep. They're going to pop out now, but the militia are still fighting off. I think maybe the English might need to back off just for a short while, because those militia are getting value, but it doesn't seem like he cares. He's going to fight anyway. The keep on its last limbs. It's on fire. Outside the ruins of the Berkshire Palace. It should perish very soon. And with that, we might see the GG. We'll have to see. Valdemar, can he hold? Insufficient stone. In dire straits here, Valdemar can't repair any more with those villagers. Mangonel's getting huge value, but it might not be enough. Mangonel getting it sniped. The English recognize that that is a force of concern. The keep has been repaired a lot. Without any siege, it's been difficult for the English to break this pressure, but there it is. Valdemar taps out. The siege was just too much. The English heavy armored units, they have broken through the Rus defense. I hope you guys enjoyed the casted game. Take care, and see you next time.